now call His Excellency the Governor, Mr. Augustus Jaspert, to the podium to bring remarks. Governor.
Thank you very much. And I should say, actually, for the first time, thank you, Permanent Secretary, as well as it is your first official event. Thank you to Robinson and the children again. That was fantastic singing and it set us off completely on the right track this afternoon. This building has a bit of a journey, which we'll hear a little bit about, I'm sure. But that journey also, if we think that tomorrow is 2 years on the day since that journey here started in terms of recovery, repair, rebuilding, and if we reflect back to where we were 2 years ago, knowing that what was about to face us, as we were all doing our final preparations, as we were all getting our families safe, knowing what was coming ahead of us. I can't at the moment quite continue on that without thinking of people in a similar situation at the moment, who are just starting their journey, are just realising what loss, what trauma, what devastation hurricanes can do. And as we think through our journey, I would like us just to take a short pause, just to quietly reflect and give our thoughts and prayers to those in the Bahamas who are at the start of their journey from the tragedy that we see unfolding there. So if we could just take one moment of silence before we continue. Thank you. As we reflect on this journey here, a few things I, just by brief remarks, wanted to highlight. The first is something that we often don't state, but actually should never understate, and that is a huge thank you, particularly to the service of the police officers who, despite the challenges, despite the devastation, despite both in the immediate aftermath of Irma and then the conditions afterwards, kept going, kept turning up to work, kept policing their community, kept looking out for people, kept supporting those. So I'm very, very pleased that today we have officially are opening the improved barracks for them, and it is improved. We must build back even better. But actually, again, I want to just give a round of applause to our police officers in Virgin Gorda. Because the first responsibility, and I've said this many times, the first responsibility of any government system, is to ensure that people feel safe and they feel secure. You don't get anything else in a community if people don't feel they can go about their lives free from the basic needs, which is safety, security. You don't get a flourishing economy, you don't get children flourishing as we saw today, you don't get tourism flourishing, you don't get communities flourishing unless people feel safe and secure. And our police are on the front line of that, and I applaud all of the work that they do and continue to do. The flip side of that is that governments need to do everything they can to support those who support us and keep us safe. And that's why getting this building back is so important. Now, some of the things that getting this building back as the barracks for Virgin Gorda, some of the things I just want to highlight as part of that journey to getting it there. First off, it's a good example of putting different things aside and just coming together as a partnership to make sure that we rebuild better. This building has been funded partly by the United Kingdom government and partly by the government of the Virgin Islands. Putting those two strengths together, getting on with things, taking decisions, rebuilding a building for the interests of the people of Virgin Gorda. Secondly, it's about actually getting in the right teams, the right support, people who can get things done whilst we're dealing with everything else to get the progress moving quickly. And I want to thank the Deputy Governor's Office as the ministry overseeing the work, and the lead ministry, but also the Recovery and Development Agency, who was set a deadline to get this building ready. We're in a short time scale to get it ready by the height of the hurricane season, So we did not go through another hurricane season with our officers in buildings that were exposed, that weren't up to the task. And I'm very pleased that Recovery Development Agency did just that. Brought in the right people, made those connections, got the work done. Third, it's also a journey and a story of building back even better. By taking those decisions, by getting that partnership, by getting the right teams in place to do it, by engaging effectively with the communities and all of the ministries, the agencies that need to be involved with, actually setting a vision to build back even more resilient than before. So building a building that can withstand, we pray we never have any more, but can withstand any things that may get thrown to us better, but also a building that has solar heating, I believe, or at least solar water, building some of those things in as part of it, and using the expertise that we have, blending together the best that we have to create a strong future here. So today is about opening a police barracks, and that is fantastic, but it's one part of reopening and moving forward as a territory through that strong partnership, through using the expertise that we have across all of the different bodies that we have, and through building back even better, even stronger, even more resilient than ever before. So I thank all of those who have participated to this journey at this point, and I'm delighted today to officially open this building and have it handed over to the police for their use ongoing. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. When you think about recovery, you think about two phases. The first phase is the rehabilitation, what we need to do to get things moving. The second phase is the most difficult phase, and that is reconstruction. So the Premier's office is tasked with ensuring that the BVI has a national recovery planning program in place, which goes beyond the impacts of Irma, but that looks at how the BVI will recover for future events like what we are experiencing in the region. So now I call the Honorable Andrew A. Foy, our Premier and Minister of Finance, to bring us remarks this afternoon. Sir.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair Lady, Madam Permanent Secretary. I want to recognize the protocol already established to recognize His Excellency, the Governor, and all the other elected members and all the other dignitaries, which is going to cover everybody. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. As I sat there and sweating, of course, it's a very hot afternoon, and I said, well, all right, this is good, because it made me to reflect on how the Virgin Islands was built, how we got here through the sweat and toil of our foreparents. It helped me to remember that things weren't always like this, but we made sure that we continue to sweat, continue to persevere, continue to move forward despite anything, and build a Virgin Islands that we can all be proud of today. While I was there sweating, I could reminisce on our ancestors and see how they felt, and see the struggles that they had to bring us to where we are. My humble opinion was a time in our history when the Lord wanted to remind us, lest we not forget where we came from and who brought us to where we are. And the only person to get us further and to get us to the new level is going to be the same God of our forefathers, the God of our ancestors, and we have to trust in them. So we are here recovering, and rightfully we can only move forward together. Together doesn't mean that we'll be the same height, same mindset, same thoughts, because we have 5 fingers and not all of them are the same length, but all of them have a purpose. But when we put them together, we pack a punch. So once we have all recognizing that we need not concentrate on the differences, but concentrate on the areas that bring us together, we will get police barracks, police station, complex, you name it, the Virgin Islands will recover. And the time will be the time in which we, the people, allow through our beliefs in God. So although we are separate as fingers, let's continue to recover one as a hand. And I said that to say that today there are many parts and many fingers that came together to make this one hand work today. We have, of course, the police, or frontline, or only frontline defense, or army. Anything happens, they're in the front. Let's give our police officers a round of applause. They are oftentimes criticized, but people don't see the many good that they do. So for that, we thank them, even during the storm, for leaving their homes, leaving their family undone, and trying to make sure that this place is safe and secure. I also have to thank the Deputy Governor's Office and the Governor's Office for what they've done, because the police is under them for their role. I also want to thank the RDA and that has done this role and played it. And of course, despite some of the chatter, I do love the RDA. It's under the Premier's office. So I want to make that abundantly clear, so I don't get involved in malicious talk. So it is essential, it has a role to play. It is one of the fingers in the hand. So I'm clear that as your leader. I want to thank the Premier's office also for what they have done. But I want to thank the people of Virgin Gorda. The people of Virgin Gorda is a very special place. It's a place that no matter how much you might see them in a little debate among each other, don't get in between them, you'll get crushed. You have to leave them alone, especially if you come across the waters here. Do not get involved, because before you know it, you're the one now paddling for yourself, and they're back together. That is how Virgin Guardians are from the time I've known them till now. But their resilience over here after the hurricane, with the help of the police officer and the community, and they banded together. When there was no one there for them, Virgin Guardians were there for themselves. And I want to give the people of Virgin Gorda a round of applause. Today is a great day. Most pastors, and we have quite a few here, say they long for the day that they don't see a funeral home. But I always tell them I long for the day I don't see a police station. Because that means that we are all disciplining ourselves. And we are all doing what is right and what is good in the sight of God and in the sight of man. The most we might need them for is a little parking ticket here and there. But as long as we discipline ourselves, then we will long for that day. But the reality of it is that there are those who do not police themselves. They do not put on the stoplight when they're going too far in doing certain things. They do not know how to do it. And therefore the police officer have to become the traffic cop for their life. But we do enjoy the work of the police. And we want them to know that we welcome helping with this building. It sounds paradoxical or weird, but I can't wait to get inside the police station. Usually people stay far from the police station, but today when it opens and we get inside, I can't wait to get inside, because I came over here a few times but purposely didn't come in. I have a habit of not going into buildings when they're building even my own too much, because I would like to see that finished product, see the beginning and probably the middle and the end, so that you could enjoy the flavor of what happened. And with mathematics and engineering, my background, I just like to enjoy the flavor of what has happened. I'm glad that it has been rebuilt with great thought process in terms of resilience. And police officers, I'm glad that this hurricane season you'll be in a better place here in Virgin Gorda. So God bless all those who made this possible here today. God bless our police force, and may we continue to recover greater than ever. But more so, recover each person at a time, because the true recovery of the Virgin Islands is when we recover each life, one life at a time. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. Honorable Premier, Ralph Gonsalves is a relative of mine. And when I hear him speak, he's always very passionate about his people. You are sounding like Ralph Gonsalves more and more. So I would like to just follow up on what you've just said. In 1994, when I started in disaster management and I came to Virgin Gorda, I knew a lot of people here from my parents living on Peter Island, but I knew about the Flacks, always knew about them because my parents were in the hospitality sector. And when I worked with Honorable Flacks during the events that followed after Irma, she was passionate. She gave me instructions like the military would task their officers. So I understand what you say, Premier. Virgin Gorda has protected itself for many, many years. You have a wonderful community engagement process that has allowed you to advance and to get to where you are here with the reconstruction process. So I'd like to follow on with what the Premier has said, but also just to identify not just Honorable Flax and what she's contributed, but our district officer who has been in the position longer than I have been in the government service, and I'd like to thank you, sorry, I'm calling you Honorable, wrong Wheatley, for your continued passion for your people, for your family, for your friends on this beautiful island. And I also want to acknowledge a number of the individuals from the Recovery and Development Agency and a representative from the board as well, who is another Virgin Gordian. We see the passion that you have for your people, and we hope that with this center, it will continue to give the police force on Virgin Gorda the strength that they need to respond. So with that being said, I now call the most passionate individual that you can ever come across, who loves his people and will do anything for them, and maybe adopting the Bahamians very shortly, because he said to me that he's on his way there next week. So Honorable Vincent Wheatley, would you please join us to give remarks this afternoon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon all. Excellency Governor Jasper, Premier Foy, other members of the House of Assemblies, Honorable Flax Charles, Honorable Smith, members of the media, RDA, Ridgeview, police officers. Before I get into my remarks, permit me to just do a historical overview of this particular area on which we stand here, because many of you are not Virgin Guardians and may not know the history of this area right here. So I'll start way back. At the back of us, this building here, is the O'Neill burial ground. Many folks here Virgin don't know about that. But what you may not know is that the front here is also a burial ground. The last person buried here was Coleridge George. He's buried right there by the palm tree inside the gate. There used to be an old cashew tree there. It's now gone, but the grave is right there still. It's the last person buried there. He was the brother of Francis George. Francis George was one of those legendary midwives. Long before Iris O'Neill was even around, Frances Leonard was the midwife who lived up where it's now called Mango Bay. But Mango Bay is what they called it. She lived there. And her brother was buried right over there. The last person buried in this cemetery here. Now the building to the back of us, that orange colored building, electricity, that was our bank. Was it First Bank? Or National Bank something. That was our bank over there back in the late 50s, early 60s. Now, right here on this particular spot, going back to probably the 50s, was a small building. That's the foundation there, I believe, where the gas pump now is. I think that's part of it, maybe not. But that little building, so if you're around my age, you remember there's a small wooden building there? Anybody remember that building? That building it served many purposes. One of them was First Community Center. It was also the Magistrates Court. And there was a lady named Theodora's the last name, Walters, I think. She opened the first women welfare group in that same building right there. During my days, now coming forward a bit now, this area got a new name. It was called the basketball court area. And here's where we all played basketball, all the youngsters. And that building then became where we would hang the scores for the game. Little boys used to love going and changing the scores on that small wooden building there. That building was torn down to build this one, actually, the Barracks here, sometime back in the, I guess, 80s, I believe this building was built. It was destroyed during the hurricane, and now the building is back, better, stronger than before. Now, policing in Virgin Gorda has sentimental value for all of us Virgin Gordians, because when it was established, the Royal Virgin Police Force in 1967, the first local constable was a Virgin Gordian, Honorable Real George, from right here, Virgin Gorda. We've had a lot of local constables from Virgin Gorda since then, like Milford Flax, Coolidge Walters, William Vanterpool, and I could go on and on about policing and Virgin Gorda. Incidentally, the same area here was also the area for a very popular fight between a Virgin Gordian, Coolidge Walters, and a Tertullian in this area here. So this area here has a lot of history to it. It was an area for many dances, Caribbean Ecstasy played right here on this very spot. The police let the boys being here because they knew where we were and what we were doing. So they kept an eye on us. So we enjoy coming here. Later on, after they built the barracks, was another interesting thing. I remember Thomas Winchester being up here. And his wife used to fry some chicken up there. He used to light up this whole entire area. So this police station and barracks was kind of like the center of policing and the center of action in the community, besides the marina being down below. So policing in Virgin Gorda goes way back. Incidentally, that same year that we formed the Royal Virgin Police Force was formed, we experienced what would have been the first murder here in Virgin Gorda. Is he another murder? Was you around? Our victim I know. That was when Jackson shot Milo just across there. That was back in 1967. We went on later on to have 4 murders by 1999. Vinny being the last murder here in Virgin Gorda. So police came in just in time. Coincidentally, the murders happened soon after we found the police force. Not sure of the connection there. Person will come out of, so this area here, like I said, will be the center of focus for the young persons in the community. And persons came from north and south here during basketball season. It was a center of activity for the persons who are kind of around my age. The children were always eager to be scorers as they were given a task to change the numbers on the scoreboard. If anyone can remember, the scoreboard was in a wooden house, same as I spoke about there. We would have to change the card when the playing team makes a basket. In addition, if memory serves me right, you used to have dances on the same basketball court, Caribbean Ecstasy going down. The community, as I knew it, would come together to have a grand time, and those were the days when people respected the police, and the police respected the community. That was a different time. This is what we need once more again, the police and the community working together. The Virgin Gorda community has been known for years for their hospitality, kindness, and genuine love for the people of its territory, from North Sound to the Valley. We are one people, one BVI, I must say, and I'm truly grateful to be standing here at this very moment. To our partners and the Recovery Development Agency, including the construction team, Ridgeview, I stand before you unpretentious. You have made a great accomplishment in restoring this building, and I can see from the exterior you have put serious thought and effort into the infrastructure. Furthermore, I can't wait to see the inside. To the volunteers who worked tirelessly to get the police station painted, I see the district officers here, they all worked, volunteered the time to paint the station. I say a big thank you, and I encourage all residents in the community to continue to take pride in what you do for your country. Furthermore, I would like you to know that the government has made it part of its mission to work for you, the people, in conjunction with local businesses and agencies, so that we can enjoy the fruits of what life has to offer. In closing my brief remarks, I turn my attention to you, the officers of the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, who have dedicated your lives to serve and protect all of us. I have to say it takes a person with a strong heart to be a police officer, knowing that there might come a time when you have to take a bullet in order to save someone's life, hopefully not mine. A life you do not know, and that's why I will reiterate at this point to the people of this community to do your utmost best to work with the police. The police cannot do it by themselves. It's the community working with the police. Statistics show that most crimes are solved with the help of witnesses. In order for the crime to remain low in our community, we are to be our brother's keeper. Lastly, as you the people are holding me and my government accountable for everything we do, I now placing that charge on you and holding you accountable for such a beautiful building. Take care of it, and I trust now you will have the comforts in the police you have been waiting for. Continue the community policing, continue working with the community, continue working with your fellow police officers. And just in closing, to the contractor, you've done a very good job, a timely job too with this building. There are a few outstanding matters. I hope you would just take care of those matters. I won't mention them here, but please take care of those matters before, don't let it drag on too long and become a big issue. Okay? I thank you all for listening, and thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Honorable Wheatley. What's rich history, rich information. And I saw when you were recapping about when you were a young boy, Honorable Flax was not in, and the DG was like that. We're the same age, so. Okay, so let's move on. We are going to Premier singing. We're going to now ask the agency that has been responsible for getting this building to this point to join me at the podium. Mr. Paul Bailey, who's the Chief Executive Officer of the Recovery and Development Agency. But before you get to the podium, again, we'd like to acknowledge the contractor and all your hard work. It's not easy operating after what we've been through. I'm sure there were lots of demands on you, but I'm sure that it has come out to be an excellent project. And Jay, congratulations. We've spoken many times, and it's good to see you part of this process. Mr. Bailey, please. Would like to acknowledge. Would you stand, please? The contractors. And the DG didn't whisper this, but you got an A+ for matching ties. So Mr. Bailey, please.
Good afternoon. I'd just like to acknowledge the protocols, but particularly the Governor, Premier and Ministers. Delightful to be here. And indeed, we're delighted to have delivered this project on behalf of the Government of the Virgin Islands to rebuild the Virgin Islands Police Barracks. This project will obviously enable the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force to come, deploy officers here, to be accommodated, to meet security and safety issues and needs of the Virgin Gorda community as and when required. And I think the standard when you go through will testimony that it is indeed a very high standard that's been set. The project was quite a complicated one. It's involved quite a few things. It's involved the installing of a new roof, electrical and plumbing connections. We replaced the doors and the windows, executed finishing works, and installed an acoustic ceiling in there to keep the noise levels down in the building. Also installed our new hurricane shelters and a solar heated water supply, which will decrease the operating costs and make the building more energy efficient. I have to say we also looked at putting renewable energy on the ceiling, but it wasn't practical. Other things that have been undertaken here is, as you can see around you, is a perimeter fence that goes right around. It was erected, it was destroyed in the hurricane, and obviously the gravelling. But I also like to acknowledge the landscaping. You'll see plants have gone in and around you over here and up the back. And I have to acknowledge that the landscaping was donated by Mr. Chris Tilley from Valley Trunk Estate. So, Vern, I know you organised that, but we'd like to really make sure that gets back to him. If you can please pass that on. I'd very much appreciate it. And I have to say, it's so typical of the Virgin Gorda community to have come forward like that and done this. I'd like to acknowledge the lead ministry. In all the projects we do, we always have a lead ministry, and with them we signed a statement of requirement which requires us to be clear about what the outcomes of any project we do looks like. And the lead ministry was the Office of the Deputy Governor. DG, it was an absolute pleasure working with you and your team, and you've got a very professional team, very clear, very business-like. It's always a pleasure coming to see you to talk about projects. We got the statement of requirements signed very quickly, and we were able to get on. And during the project, your team has been quite involved, and it's been wonderful working with you all. The partner is the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force. And I have to say, Deputy Commissioner, you and the Commissioner are very, very good at working a budget. I have to say, really successful to make sure all the money is spent and nothing's left on the table, constantly coming up with ideas. Some of them we have to push back quite hard on. But I have to say, it's been a real pleasure, and I also acknowledge the Inspector here. As you know, I'm going to put a plug in for you. I know, Governor and the Premier, while you're here, we've had a good look through the police station here. I know that I'm saying this because I know Commissioner Matthews is going to give me a beer for saying this, but the building next door needs to be fixed up. There are some serious issues in there, and if we'd had the budget, we might have done it, but we didn't. The contract value of this project was $878,000, and the contract was started in November of last year, so it's taken 9 months to complete this project from woe to go. As has already been acknowledged, the constructor is Ridgeview Construction, and I'd just like to acknowledge you, Roy Smithworth, and Jay Archibald, and also I'd like to acknowledge you, David Roach. So thank you very much. It's you know, when you're doing these refurbishment projects, it's not like doing a simple build. You're always finding things that are not what you expect when you pull a wall out or you take a roof off. And I have to say to the three of you, it's been a pleasure working with you. You work with us to find practical, cost-efficient solutions to the problems that we've uncovered. I know we had to redo the electrical works because we couldn't find the right routing for it. Things like that. So it's a really good example of working in partnership, and I acknowledge that and thank you all for it. The funding, with the Minister of Finance here, I'm sure he's very interested, as the Governor has already alluded to, this project has been funded by two parties, obviously the Government of the Virgin Islands, but Governor, as representative of the UK, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office have put $340,000 into this project. This is one of two. The other one is on Jos van Dyke, which was ready to be has been finished as well and ready to be handed over. So we'd just like to formally acknowledge the very important contributions we get. One of our jobs in the RDA is to fundraise. So for every dollar we're getting from, every precious dollar we're getting from the Government of the Virgin Islands, we're looking to leverage that and seek funding both from individuals or foundations, or indeed in this case the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. The RDA team, I'd just like to acknowledge two people in particular, Jean-Paul Webster and Charlie Pichot. John-Paul Webster, can you stand up? The reason I want John-Paul to stand up, John-Paul came and joined the RDA late last year. He's 5 years out of university, a bright young BV Islander, and one of our jobs is not just to build stuff, but it's about capacity building, and we're doing that in all sorts of ways. But this is an example of capacity building. This is John Paul's biggest project he's done in the 5 years since he's left university. He's done a wonderful job, and you are going to be, my friend, are going to be the future of in this industry in years to come. And I salute you and thank you for that. Charlie, I see you up the back there, you're getting grey. There's a reason why you're getting grey. I know you've been providing quiet advice in the background. But these projects are no one or two people doing. I do acknowledge there's a whole team right across government that has delivered this project. The other help, we had other help. Vern Wheatley, your district officer. Vern and I I've been coming over here and we've got quite a few projects underway. Vern picks me up in that enormous vehicle of his, which I love. And we just putter around and looking at all the projects and we look at what's going on. And as this thing was just finished and painted, we came in here, Vern, remember? And we stopped there at the entrance and we said, we have to do something about the police station, because if those who recall, it was pretty shabby looking. And Vern said, leave it to me. I said, we'll supply the paint. And he said, I'll supply the people. Now, Vern, I know that you got students from the school, from Brigado Flax, so acknowledge those students. But you also had some other people. And so, but I have to say, the Minister Wheatley, was very quick to point out to me that he had an important role. I understand he bought the beer after that was drunk after the painting. He was very quick to point that out to me. He said it wasn't all Vern. It was, you know, I was in here too. So Vern, I acknowledge you. Thank you. That's why I love coming over here, because the community is so good and so strong. It's an inspiration. We are doing some other projects on VG. We're doing the special debris clearance project we've completed earlier this year. We removed 290 vehicles and nearly 920 cubic yards of scrap metal was removed from here and backloaded to Tortola, and that's been taken off island. The VG bars, for those who know, there's work underway now to repair the bar and the ticket booth, bathroom facilities, and there's 2 rest stops have been erected, so that project's well on track and will be completed quite soon. The other one we're working hard on is the VG Sports Complex. That's to replace the roof and put a new basketball floor in there. And if we can raise the money, I'm very keen that we go ahead and repair the netball court, and because the volleyball, because they can't use the court inside. The roof is too low. So we're really on the hunt to find some funders to do the volleyball as well, and then complete that whole sports complex. There's fencing going up as well. So that's an important project for the young here in the VG, and I know the basketball competition, as I've been told, has been fiercely competed over many years. Finally, the Brigado Flax Educational Centre, we've got an RFP out at the moment to improve the tent. That's where the some of the staff are going to relocate in there as offices for the staff, and also repair one of the permanent classrooms there. And the RFP responses are due in on the 24th of this month. And finally, just this morning, we've held a risk management and health and safety workshop here in VG. We had 20 people from the construction industry talking about how to improve risk management, also how to deal with safety and health issues on the workplace. I have to say I sat on a little bit, very interactive session, but this is part of also us working with the construction industry to try and improve standards, because one of the things we mentioned to people, if companies are aware to develop local companies over the next few years so that they can, if they want to, go offshore and compete for export work, then they have to have proper occupational health and safety standards. They have to be able to know about risk management. So this is part of the capacity building, because I hope by the time we finish, we might not have just 2 or 3 companies that compete internationally or regionally, but we might have 20 or 25 of these companies. So that's the hope. So in conclusion, I just again like to say how delighted we are to have supported the government of Virgin Islands to rebuild these police barracks. Thank you.
I'm going to try and get this so that we can get on that boat, Governor. I see you signaling to me. Christmas time is not the only time that gifts are given. Deputy Governor, you have a gift to hand over. So we would like to do that now. We would like to hand over, the Deputy Governor would like to officially hand over this huge gift to the Acting Commissioner of Police. Commissioner, we've gone from design, implementation, now we need operational. So would you please...
We need Santa first.
Santa Claus. Ho, ho, ho. Would you like to, the camera, would you like it to be done here in the front? Yeah, okay. Right here. Would you like to say anything, sir? Oh, no?
DG, I hand over the call.
Well, I have not been inside as yet, but with all the trust in the RDA and the persons who've helped, Gorda and your team, Jay and others, and government of the Virgin Islands, I'm handing this key over to you, give the Commissioner in trust that inside is exactly what we've asked for and agreed to when I signed off on those. Or else.
I came here shortly after the hurricane, just to pay a welfare visit on the officers, and I was really surprised to see, how resilient some of the officers were, because up on the top floor, it was still staying there. The Virgin Gorda community having patched the roof in some way so that pouring water couldn't come in, and they were staying in those conditions. Everything said about the vision of the community is true in terms of the support they've given to the police over the years. I mean, a lot of the police officers stationed here have no real nexus to the Virgin Gorda community. But the Virgin Gorda community is inclusive, and they make them feel at home, and they give them support in every way. For this to be a grateful. So hopefully, with a new building, up to standard, ready for the new hurricane, for the ongoing hurricane season, we can deliver the service deserving to the Virgin Gorda community.
Thank you, Acting Commissioner. I see you have one key, so be careful with the key. Yes, we're going to now ask Mr. Wheatley, would you please bring out the gold scissors? We're going to ask the officials to join us at the ribbon so that we can have the ribbon cutting ceremony. So Governor, Honorable Premier, Ministers, Acting Commissioner Mr. Bailey, Deputy Governor. Can we move over to the ribbon to officially open the facility?
Sang so beautifully after that.
Just pull on the string a little bit. Yeah. Tight.
Okay, and you guys ready?
Yeah.
There we go. With the photo?
We will now proceed inside.
Take a tour.
Ready for the tour?
Apartment 1.
I think I'm going to move in. I'm going to swap government house.
Okay, so
When I was here the last time, I was just here, yeah. It was long there.
okay, so what we have here is we've redone the flooring.
Yes.
We've given a paint job, new electricals, new appliances, white goods, new cabinets, a new kitchen. And as was mentioned before, we did have to do a great job of doing over the electricals. That required us to jackhammer all the floors, we lay all the pipes, run all the wires again, and that was a pretty daunting task. As we go this way, we can go to the bedrooms. In the bedrooms now, as you can see, we're operating with roll-on shutters. Very easy to manage. You control them from the inside. This room also has a fresh paint job, fresh flooring, new electrical, new fixtures, and as you look over it, we have redone the bathroom as well. New tiles in the bathroom, new tub, new sink, and toiletry, and plumbing, of course.
Minister Peterson, it's good enough when it's some.
These are all still
You never know. Very good.
And we also have new cabinetry, new closets, and this is the bedroom. And the station up here in the back.